I'm going to have you introduce yourself. We're here to talk about Savage Sundays
Yeah.
specifically, which I love for the record. But before we do that, why don't you tell us who you are and what you do?
Goodness gracious. Well, my name's Katie Tansey, and God, there's so many different elements to who I am, I guess.
I know. You do a lot of things.
I do a lot of things. I guess while I would never have thought 20 years ago that I would say, and I'm an entrepreneur by heart, I'm an entrepreneur.
Yeah, you are.
Which is kind of crazy to think. And when I talk to other people about working for yourself and what that means, you take on a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
So with that said, I own a business called HR Resolved, and we provide outsourced HR services to small to medium-sized businesses. And that's one component to what it is that I do.
And you've been doing that for a long time.
Oh my goodness, my background is I come from big business. I worked in big business in human resources, so I've worked with people my whole life. Really good with establishing and creating relationships, which probably leads me into the other things I do in the other part of my life. But post-COVID, Bill and I made kind of a decision of, what we wanted to do with HR Resolved at the time. And it made sense for us to be able to focus on some other things with some of the pivots that we were making with HR Resolved. And I said to him, I hate, this sounds bad to say it this way, but I want the opportunity to focus on something that I'm really passionate about. Not that I'm not passionate about HR. I'm passionate about working with people and helping people solve problems. But health and nutrition is like at my core who I am. From the home that I grew up in to what I chose to pursue post-college in a social environment. So getting my nutrition coaching certification 4 years ago now, just basically allowed me to formalize, I guess, some of the things that I was doing personally for myself and offer my services to other people. And when I think of nutrition, when I think of wellness, it's not just about what we're putting in our body and what we're doing to exercise, but there's so many different other components to wellness, such as human connection, human interaction. And COVID had an impact on so many of us in so many ways. But one of the things that I realized for myself is in growing HR Resolved, and the amount of energy and time that it took, the people I was hiring, they were my social connection. They were my social network. And when COVID happened and pivots happened to smaller businesses, some of the people who were working for us at the time took opportunities elsewhere because they provided them with something that we couldn't provide. And it wasn't because we were bad or doing something wrong, but it was what was best for them and for their families. And the letdown for me was like, at some points, like super devastating, because here were people that I invested in, but I wasn't just investing in them personally or professionally. I had a personal connection to them, or they were fulfilling something personally for me, I should say, which, gosh, what a learning and growing experience that was, to be able to look at and be like, okay, well, you really do need to be able to have life within your work, but also life outside your work. And so much of what I had was everything within my work.
Yeah.
So that left me with, a couple of years of kind of saying, wow, where is my community? Who is my community? Bill and I at one point were part of a CrossFit gym in the Saratoga area that brought a little community to us as well at that time. But for a couple without kids, I sometimes feel like kids create community for parents because of taking their kids in and out of sporting events.
And daycare and schools. And there's definitely...
Right. And so you look at that, and even just some of the publications that have come out, whether you listen to like Mel Robbins or just Gabrielle Reese, I mean, they actually have conversations with people about how much, while social media is great, it's not the same kind of connection that you have with people when you're getting together face to face.
Well, especially right now, I feel like social media is just a bunch of people bitching at a bunch of other people all the time.
I try
looking
to
for that gotcha moment. That's all I see, like nonstop, whether it's on Twitter, Facebook's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think Instagram, to be fair, is the one that I see it the least.
I think you can curate it based on what you want to see.
That might be.
Facebook, I think it's like because you're friends with people and you accept them as friends, you're kind of allowing whatever it is they're posting or saying to show up in your feed. Where Instagram's more about like, what are your interests and who are you following? And like, what do you see? So mine's like recipes and fitness.
Right now, my feed is all farm stuff and kettlebell workouts. So
yeah, mine's starting to fill with high rocks stuff.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I'm a little fascinated with that, but yeah. So as far as who I am, nutrition coach, and I think through some of that in managing my own nutrition, health, wellness, well-being. In 2024, I started the year off having come off of a relatively difficult 2023 of trying to navigate some personal health stuff. And what I really leaned into in 2023 is this idea of curiosity and the fact that I had to be curious about what I was experiencing in order to figure out what was right for me in terms of prognosis, what doctors are telling me. So I started 2024 off with saying, this curiosity, I need to continue to lean into it, what I'm feeling, the workouts that my brain might say I want to be doing, but my body saying, nope, you're not going to do that right now. So curiosity, connection, and community were my 2024 words for the year. And so that led me to kind of coming up and being one of a founder. I have to give Bill like a little bit of credit for the Savage Sunday because he did come up with the name of it. I was really the energy behind taking it and running with it. When he just wanted to go do a workout outside with his wife, that's really what he was aiming for. But I'm like, no. I know some people who would do this with us. And I'm always somebody who's going to want to suffer with other people if I'm going to do it, then just do it with Bill. Like I need more energy to push me. So outside of HR Resolved and being a nutrition coach, I guess I'm the founder of Savage Sunday. The person behind getting us out there and kind of putting ourselves in positions to do semi-difficult things. And I say semi-difficult because I think everything can be scaled for where you are. And I know sometimes savage may scare people away, like what that word is, but I think each of us have a savage in ourselves. We might show it and try to find it in different ways, but I was blown away the 3 weeks ago at the first workout and on a not so nice day to have 16 people show up.
Yeah.
And I'm going to count Bodie and I'm going to count Regan's two little kids. I mean, they got out there, they contributed to the energy, and
that was fun.
Yeah, we got another workout coming up this Sunday.
I know. Bodie will be there this Sunday as well.
Sweet.
So, well, because it was funny last year, I missed a bunch of them because Bodie, he just wasn't quite ready to go there, or maybe I wasn't quite ready
to bring him.
Yeah. But now he's big enough to be able to somewhat listen and not wander off into the pond or whatever while I'm working out, and I can keep an eye on him. So I'm excited about it. Yeah,
it's a great little spot. I mean, it's a fenced in track. So
before we get more into Savage Sunday, I feel like we should give anyone listening to this a little bit more idea of your background, because you are an Ironman.
I am.
Iron woman.
Yes.
And triathlete. And tell us a little bit about like that part of your background, because I think it's impressive. Number one, I think anyone that is able to get into a physicality that allows them to complete an Ironman is a freaking accomplishment, regardless of what your time is. I don't care if it takes you 2 days to do it. If you're able to freaking do it, it's nasty. So can you just kind of give us a little bit of background on that?
Yeah, thanks for asking. It's kind of funny because I don't talk about myself really well.
I know, that's why I'm asking, because I don't know. I just have little glints of it.
Yeah. So Bill likes to tell people for me, which is great, because I think that it was really one of the things that pulled us together. When we met was that he felt like I had stories. So outside of playing sports growing up as a kid, when I moved to New York City, I just hadn't found my community. I hadn't found where I really wanted to spend my time socially. I had a job that kind of was crazy hours, and it was hospitality, and you were around people all the time. And so I had started with just saying, I want to run a marathon. And found that the avenue for me to do that was with Leukemia Lymphoma Society chapter down in New York City. And goodness, I don't even know how many marathons I ran raising money for LLS, but it started there. And just being in Manhattan with a group of professional young people, some people who had athletic backgrounds, found their way to finding some of the LLS coaches and saying, hey, we want to do an Ironman. Will you train us? And they then created a team outside of the Leukemia Lymphoma Society that was called TriLife. And you basically paid coaches to train you to do an Ironman. And I wasn't one of their founding teams, but they were fellow fundraisers and marathoners and stuff that I knew. And I was like, I want to do that. I want to do that. I did my first triathlon with Leukemia Lymphoma Society. It feels like a lot of words. I don't know.
It is a lot of words.
So
a lot of syllables.
I did my first. So from marathons with them, I went to an Olympic distance with them, to a half Ironman with Leukemia Lymphoma Society, and in between doing some of that, I did a small little short triathlon in Mount Gretna, Pennsylvania, which isn't so far from my family's home. And it was in early spring with really cold water.
Nice.
And I had a panic attack in the water. Yep. And this is somebody who grew up swimming. Like I did swim team growing up. So like while I didn't swim in high school or whatever, we lived in Texas. And one of the things that we did was you did summer swim team, is what your parents did to keep you, or at least my parents did, to keep us busy and out of the house. So I was like, what the heck is this? Like I did the whole thing, like doggy paddle with my head out of the water because I couldn't put my head in. And I was like, oh my gosh, my aspirations. Because at that point in time in the back of my head, I was like, okay, why are you doing all these things? Well, Ironman was kind of like, why not? Like it was out there. It was definitely something that I wanted to do, but having had this panic attack in the water, it took me a long time to get back to being able to put in open water my face in and be able to talk myself down to say, breathe. So, time went by and I was able to be like, you're in control of yourself. Like you can do this. And so I did Ironman, and I think I did Lake Placid Ironman in 2028. No,
Dates are hard.
2000.
Time's moving weird, Tansey.
Yeah, it is. Hold on a second. 2018. I met Bill in 2010. No, 2008. Yeah, because we got married in 2012. So I did Ironman in 2008 in Lake Placid, and I trained with not team and training. Goodness gracious, TriLife, but part of this was one of the coaches. When you said you wanted to do an Ironman, they interviewed you, and they basically wanted to ensure that you had the time outside of your career and work life and family life to dedicate to crossing the finish line. They didn't care what time you did it in, but they wanted to make sure that their success rate wasn't impacted.
Yeah.
That when you signed up, when they took you on, that they were going to get you across the finish line.
How much time in training? Because one of my goals right now is to do the Lake Placid Ironman the year I turned 50.
Okay.
So I got 2 years. And how much time does it take to train?
It depends. And that's where I always, I looked around at the people that were on the team with me at the time. And I was just like, how you got, you work in finance. Finance is one of the most difficult, time-consuming jobs that I knew people had in Manhattan. And then they had kids. And I was like, I'm my own person. I wasn't dating. I didn't have a family. I'm like, how do you manage this? I think it depends on what your expectations are of yourself. I think that if your goal is to cross the finish line without a time goal, I think that you can put, an adequate amount of time in that's not going to be focused on all the different, am I training for speed this week? Am I just training for time on my seat or time in the saddle or time on my feet? That was my social life at the time. I mean, it really was everything that I did. So
what you're saying is you trained 40 hours a week for it.
I mean, you think about an hour to 2 during the weekdays, And then some weekends you go out, depending on the duration of the bike. And if you're going to do a bike to a run, I probably could have been training for easily 10 to 12 hours during the weekend on a Saturday and Sunday. But for me, it was what I was doing for my everything.
Right.
For my social, the people that I hung out with, the people that I trained with were people who I spent the most time with. Hence, I really didn't date that much.
Right.
That
you didn't have any time for dating.
No. So, I have to say that like that experience, I haven't done another one since.
I know.
I haven't done another even Olympic since. I crossed the finish line, and what went through my head was, that was it. Like I had the best day of my life outside of just, my wedding day. And it was one of the best days of my life. I had a friend who I worked in the insurance business, or I had a friend that worked in the insurance business. I hadn't worked in the insurance business yet. Who one of our carriers that we worked with was Philadelphia Insurance, I think.
Okay.
And he was able to get us, be able to get family members passes to get behind like the race lines.
Yeah.
So one of the coolest things about the race was in Lake Placid, you do 2 loops of Mirror Lake. So to do the full swim course, it's 2 loops. So you have to come out of the water, run around back to the start, and then do your second lap.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
Yeah. And my dad was right there. Like
That's
saw,
cool.
as I got out of the water, I saw my father, like cheering me on. Like it was basically right there in front of my face. So that was, and then he was at the finish line too. So and not many people can get behind, like family can get behind the finish line. So it was a day that it rained the whole entire day. So it stayed relatively cool. The sun wasn't out because the sun would have absolutely crushed me. But I also had my fastest marathon time.
During the triathlon?
In my Ironman, yeah. I had not yet broken 4 hours in a standalone marathon, and I came in like my run time, and it was like 4:03, I think.
After swimming 2 miles and biking 100 miles?
Yeah. Yep.
Right?
So,
is it 100 miles in the Ironman?
Yeah, over 100 miles.
110 or whatever the hell it is? I can never remember the distances.
Yeah, now this is showing like my brain getting foggy. 2.5 mile swim, 26.2 mile run, and 112 mile bike.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
But yeah, after having done all of that, like everything just lined up for me. Like all the stars were in alignment. I said I had a guardian angel. My mom was watching over me because she was like, "What the heck are you doing?" Like, crazy,
it's wild.
Crazy person
wanting to do it. I think there's something wrong with you when you want to do that stuff. But it's also amazing because it's like.
That's just a part of the story, though.
Oh.
Because when I crossed the finish line, prior to towing the line for the start of the Ironman, I had some friends who wanted to run the Marathon des Sables. And it's a multi-day staged ultra in Morocco, where you're carrying your own stuff through the Sahara Desert and sleeping and eating, everything.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah. So I started to get like the amount of money to pay to go do something like that. I was like, wow, I have not even crossed like the finish line of my marathon, like that, like or the Ironman. I could very well want to be done with this altogether, and I'm going to pay a couple $1,000s and take up a seat for like because the Marathon des Sables only allows so many people from each country. And I knew that I wanted to do it because part of it was because I was always afraid of the heat. Like I don't like exercising in the heat. I was like, great. Well, what
we were talking about it when you first got here.
What better than to go to Morocco and run? So I kind of got the guy to be like, can I pay you and confirm everything? Let me just finish Ironman first. And so when I crossed the finish line and thought to myself, yep, that was it. Okay. All right. Well, this means that Morocco, and my father's like, Katie, can you just not learn to play the piano, please? Like, why do you need to continue to throw yourself into these somewhat challenging feats? And for me, I think I've just found over the course, it doesn't matter, like anytime I find myself in a place of like discomfort, I have to investigate it. I want to understand, and I want to find out what I'm really made out of. And that can be all on a relative scale. Not everybody has to be as extreme, but yeah, so after Ironman, the last thing I did in terms of like an ultra-ish thing was the Marathon des Sables, which was
You did it.
I did. Yeah.
Wild. I had no idea that you ran that race.
A total 160 miles or something staged over the course of, I think it was 5 days. And the longest day was an overnight stage that was 50 miles.
And you're running gear heavy.
Yeah. Like our
it's
pack
not
was
like
like
you're just in a pair of shorts and a tank top like you do in a marathon.
No.
Like you're running gear heavy.
Totally. Backpack on 20 to 30 pound pack. All your food. You didn't have to carry your water. They supplied water and salt tablets and stuff, but you carried your snacks, you carried your dehydrated meals, you carried like...
Wild. That sounds awesome.
So yeah, like not many people, like I don't walk around, like try dating after doing an Ironman and that. Like men just didn't think I was normal.
Well, it's not normal. I think it's awesome. But I mean, at that point, everybody else is not as tough as you are. So you're probably...
Well, and the funny thing is, and I still think it's kind of crazy, but the thing after doing Ironman and the piece that I appreciated the most about it being raining the whole day is I didn't have to mess around with transitions. I peed on my bike. I didn't go into Porta Johns. Like I actually got myself to be able to go to the bathroom on my bike. Yeah. And here, this is a little tip for you. And I apologize if you were the person that was in the transition or the tent after me going from my bike to my run. But one of the things one of the coaches said was that, you know, when you get into transition, you've got somebody there from bike to run. You've got somebody there helping you. And they're like, go to the bathroom in the seat as you're changing out of your cycling shoes into your running shoes. But just make sure that when you get up, that you grab the back of the chair so you can tip it up as you run out. I forgot to tip it up. So I peed in the chair as well. I didn't use a Porta John the whole day.
Wild.
I know. It's kind of weird, but there's a badge of honor that I wear with that story. Well, some people might be like, wow, you're just really out there.
That's weird. I'm not saying it's weird. I'm saying they might be saying that. I do know that it's very common for people to... I mean, I've seen videos of people like pooping while they're running.
Okay, now that I'm just glad I didn't have those kind of GI issues. I did not. I was lucky.
But like, you know, when you're at a competitive level, it's like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I also remember hearing back in the day, I had never witnessed it, but I would hear stories about CrossFitters that would like not stop a workout and like do the same thing. Like it's a freaking 8-minute EMOM. Like, what are you doing, man?
That's
some people are extreme.
Yeah.
In those cases with endurance events, that happens pretty frequently and regularly. So it's just a part of it, but
it is. And it like, I don't know, like thank you for letting me reminisce because part of that I miss. I don't.
I know. That's why at the end of this, I'm going to talk to you about why Savage Sunday crew should do the Beast in September. That's a small one.
I know. And for us, I think we've got a schedule conflict because...
Cancel it.
Not coming to your wedding.
That's right. Your friend, they'll get remarried.
Bill would not do it. I would do it.
Bill Tansey, we're calling you out right now.
He's just... he's not wired like... I mean, he will go... I mean, I don't know the fastest he's ever gone. I'm not even going to say a speed, but I mean, he's raced a motorcycle around a closed track at very high speeds. And that takes a special person in and of itself. This is just a different kind of fun. But then I was also thinking about this morning because, you know, I go from that to, all right, what else do I want to do now that I've done an ultra and you know, done an Ironman? You know, what do I want to do? And I was like, you know what? I want to learn to ski. And this is pre-Bill. This is like kind of like a thought in my head of before I got to I want to ski, I was like, well, I had a coach that did a double Ironman. So I thought about that. I mean, I really thought about that. And I got as far as the coach saying to me, kind of preparing me, like he totally down for training me and all that. He's like, but you need to be in a place where you're ready to spend a lot of time alone. And like that word alone kind of like drug out really alone. And I was, 30 something years old at that time. And like, I do want to meet somebody. Like I hadn't met somebody. I wasn't really dating. And I was like, wow. All right. Well, if I'm not going to totally say I'm not going to do this, but I'm going to be a little open. I'm going to be a little bit more open with my time and my schedule and, just things that I might have been with Ironman. Because with Ironman, that was it. That was like tunnel vision. That's what I wanted to do. I had a loose time goal for it, but I wanted to cross the finish line and feel good. And so when it came to the double, I was like, okay, well, I'm not steadfast on it. Like it's there. I can continue to do it, but I have to be open to other things. And it was right around that time where I kind of was like just kind of talking myself through this idea of being more open, less rigid, for a lack of a better word, that I was invited by friends to come up here to their home during President's Day weekend in 2010. So after I'd done Ironman in 2008, Marathon in des Sables in 2009, in 2010, February, I came up here and mutual friends of Bill's and mine called Bill and was like, hey, Katie's in town. And Bill's like, who the F is Katie? And they're like, Katie from New York City. And he's like, oh, okay. They're like, we're going to dinner. He's like, dude, it's like 8:00 on a Saturday night. I
love your husband.
I'm in the shop working. And he's like, but Katie's in town. And he's like, okay, I'll get up. And so Bill drove into town to meet me and some friends. And I guess you could say the rest was history.
The rest was history.
Yeah.
And here we are, how many years later? How many get?
We'll celebrate 14. We were married in 2012. Help me do the math.
I can't
2000.
do
No, it was 13 years.
Okay. So you've been married 13 years.
Yeah.
Together for 15.
Yes.
If you count the first date.
Correct.
Okay.
Exactly.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So you didn't do the double.
I did not do the double.
Did you ever? Are you familiar with Iron Cowboy?
I think so. Why do I know him? Why do I know that?
He, I don't know what his name is. I read his book. But I think, what did he do? 100 Ironmans in 100 days.
That's why I know. I don't think I read his book.
He was on. I think I originally found out about him. Might have been Real AF with Andy Frisella.
Okay.
And
yes. That's how I know him.
Yeah,
I listened to
him
that
on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I read his book. Wild. Can you imagine that? You've done one. I've never done one, so I can't even.
Yeah.
I have no
I can't.
way to measure that, but it sounds staggering.
So I have a friend. His name is Emeka, and Emeka he's one of the people that I ran Marathon des Sables with. Mm-hmm. And he also, it has yet to be released. I'm going to have to send this to him. A documentary on Ironman triathletes. So while I was training for Ironman, I had Emeka following me around and a bunch of other athletes on the team, filming us through our training. Yeah. So the funny thing is, and I don't know, he ran into some issues with copyright music for it. So I don't know if he's got a timeline in the back of his mind of how many years he wants to go by since this to release it. I don't think he's let anybody watch it either. Maybe one person convinced him. But in any event, Emeka asked me to be a subject in it. And so there's a reason why. What did we say there's a reason why I went back to him.
Iron Cowboy.
Sugar. I can't remember.
That's all right. Maybe it'll pop back up.
Yes.
So let's go back to, and by the way, from a swimming standpoint, that panic in the water is such a real thing. And I don't think that people understand that. When I did our first sprint a few years ago, I got in the water, and I'm the world's worst swimmer. So like my first sprint, I think I was in the water for 33 minutes, just breaststroking along.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm in the back of the group, and there's people all around me that are panicking and getting pulled out of the water. And at one point in time, I'm sitting there and I'm like, should I be panicking? Like literally, I have this dialogue in my head. I'm like, maybe I'm not okay. Like maybe I should be getting pulled out of the water too. And like literally, like I started to have a panic attack set in. And I was convincing myself that because all these people around me were having such trouble, that I must be having trouble as well. Like that's how real like groupthink is. And I had to talk myself out of it and like keep going. I probably spent 5 minutes just treading water, having an internal debate about whether or not I was drowning. You know, like that kind of panic things. It was wild. So it just made me think of that.
No, it's it was like just demoralizing.
Yeah.
It really is. It's like, well, I can swim. I've been doing, and I'm a pretty decent swimmer. Like I was right on the line in Lake Placid with my buddy Mike, like right up in the front. And I mean, it's like a washing machine.
Oh yeah.
Like they say, like I was between a bunch of just big people, and I was getting, I mean, I probably could have been more efficient if I was on my own, because I was like back and forth and back and forth. But yeah, when I was able to get over it. So you just, I mean, it's something you can overcome, but when it happens, holy smokes.
Wow. All right. Let's talk about Savage Sunday.
Yeah.
So you kind of talked about it a little bit, but why don't you, for our listeners, tell people what Savage Sunday is?
So for the lack of a better, like it's community, it's group community fitness. It's really, for me, it's about finding other like-minded people who want to exercise and work out outside, and experiencing what might be considered type 2 fun.
Type 2 fun?
Type 2 fun.
What's type 1 fun?
Well, the easy kind of like, things you would do ordinarily.
Like throwing horseshoes or...
Correct.
Like just normal fun stuff.
Correct.
Type 1.
This isn't like type 3 fun, might be like risk of life.
Okay.
Right? Like, I mean... And,
skydiving. Okay.
no, skydiving could be type 2 fun. It's one of those things that is like...
I didn't know fun had types.
It did. This was something I was with Bill and I, right? Like telling of stories or meeting people, like I started wanting to ski, right? So I took on skiing, but in natural Tansey kind of pursuits, like you just don't want to be mediocre. You want to be really great. And so I had started skiing when I met Bill, and through some of our travels, he was able to find 2 women who, one was on the free ride team and had won some comps, and then another one actually skied for the U.S. women's ski team. And I've done some really cool traveling experiences, and this travel with them is not just to go ski fun places, but like to work on technique and become a better skier. And since, like, mind you, when I met Bill in 2010, I really didn't know how to ski. I'd been on skis, but didn't know how to ski.
Right.
Fast forward to 2025, and I've been in a helicopter twice. I've skied in multiple countries. And while I'm still always learning, it's not second nature for me, like riding a bike. So this pursuit of doing hard things has always been like something I've been drawn to. So type 2 fun was what I was introduced to while skiing, and it was when we were in Portillo, Chile. I never really taken my skis off and hiked something up, and like type 2 fun is like that, like, why am I doing this type of fun? Like you kind of question why, but you feel so accomplished, and you feel so accomplished when it's done.
Yeah.
I guess.
And I want to say, so you said, when you said you jumped out of a helicopter twice, just to put that in perspective for people that may not know, what Katie's talking about is jumping out, like backcountry skiing.
Correct.
Out in the middle of nowhere.
Yes. So being flown to the top of a mountain where they see a line and this is where you're going to ski. No,
there's no ski patrol.
No. Right.
It's gnarly shit that you guys are doing out there.
But not to the level.
I think it's amazing.
Not to the level that Bill, like, mind you, what I might be okay doing, Bill would want far steeper and far taller. But I mean, still 15 years at age almost 50, to learn to ski as an adult was definitely something that wasn't easy. So type 2 fun was like that phrase, type 2 fun, and then it doesn't have to be fun to be fun. It's kind of like it's
almost like the less fun it is, the more fun it is.
Right. It's like you get done with it and you're like, sweet, that sucked, but I just did it,
That was always one of the things that I liked about CrossFit, and when I think I can't remember what his name is. Dave, the artist.
Oh yeah.
He was just here on Steven's new podcast called Food for Thought. Check that out, everybody. And we were just talking about like working out in group settings like that, where it's nasty and you may throw up, or at least feel like you're going to throw up. It's some of my favorite things.
Yeah.
Again, it's just you're suffering as a group of people, and it's nasty and it sucks. And then you get done, you're like, man, that was awesome. Like, so type 2 fun.
Type 2 fun.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So Savage Sunday is like, it's about a little bit of type 2 fun. And again, like, I don't want to scare anybody away.
No.
I really want people to come out to be around a group of people that are going to push them. Because when you're around somebody who might be a little faster than you, or might be a little stronger than you, or might be a little fitter than you, it gives you something to chase after. And it's funny because in the midst of like all this triathlon craziness and stuff, there was a group of people that were cycling in the city, and the coach that was kind of leading them, I wanted to cycle with him, and he's like, okay, what race are you signed up for? And I was like, I'm not signed up for a race. He goes, you need to be signed up for a race. And I was like, but I just want to ride with you guys to get better. And he's like, no, you need to be signed up for a race. And so I didn't end up riding with him. But his whole point was, you need something out there to be focused on, to make you want to show up and to make you want to push yourself to chase that next person down. And so for me right now, like what that finish line is and what I'm chasing after is just living as long as I freaking can, as strong as I can, to be able to do the things that I want to do. So while at one point in my life, it would have been about crossing that finish line or that race that I'm signed up for, it's so much bigger now because I see that there's so much that I laid the foundation in my 20s, 30s and early 40s to try to get me to the point now where I'm aware enough of like what's going on in my body, whether it be perimenopause wise or, aches and pains. And what does this mean? Because I don't want to live a sedentary lifestyle into my 60s, 70s, and 80s. Yeah.
It's wild. I mean, there's so much literature that's coming out right now about, and we talked about this the other day at Crew, just about like longevity and leg strength, how strong your legs are, and versus how long you're going to live. There's a correlation there.
Yeah.
There's just so much information that shows that strength training and being physically fit will give you a longer life and a longer quality of life. I think that's also a factor.
Yeah.
When we talk about longevity, right? It's like, I don't want to live to 150 if I can't get myself out of a chair.
Totally.
But if I can still, hike, run, whatever, like, I'll go as long as I can get, man.
Totally. And so I think you asked me like Savage Sunday, it's type 2 kind of fun. And it started with Bill sending me a workout and he's saying, okay, that looks kind of cool. And he's like, it wasn't a workout that was to be done outside on a track, but I couldn't leave it at that. I sent it to you and Steven. And Bill was like, what? You sent it to two dudes who are in better shape and younger than me, Katie. Really?
Oh, than him or than you?
Than him.
Than
him.
I'm barely younger than he is.
So he was like, are you kidding me? But for me, it was just like, all right, now he's like, you're taking this introvert, right? This person who just wants to go work out outside with their wife, and now you're making me show up someplace with a group of people, to do a group workout. But he's been super supportive and great. But really, I find, I'm not a personal trainer. I have been doing a lot of training over the course of my life, and I just see stuff online on Instagram or whatnot, and I'm like, that looks like a cool workout, and I think that we can do it. And the only downside, if I have to say there's a downside to Savage Sunday, it's a BYOS. It's a bring your own shit, so, you might need some kettlebells, or you might need to be able to go scrounge some kettlebells or dumbbells up. So Bill thinks that might be maybe an inhibitor of it growing because, people have to find their own stuff. But yeah, I've got this year coming into it, people had so much fun, and I have to say it was great. I got a couple of people reaching out, like Austin, who I met last year through you. He sent me the nicest note at the end of the year, beginning of the year,
He's a good dude.
saying thank you and how much he really enjoyed the community. And, hearing Annie when Annie was on your podcast, and you're like, you had nothing but positive things to say about me and Savage Sunday. And I was like, wow, that's kind of cool.
It's fun.
To know that you're impacting people and making a difference in people's lives and creating a space that not only you want to come to, but other people want to come to.
I invite anyone that I know that is into type 2 fun now that I know that there's a label for it. Girl that I do is in one of my networking groups. I think she's coming this Sunday.
Cool.
I invited a couple of my buddies that I do the triathlons with. I think one of them might show up. Travis. This is I'm calling you out. But I again, like, I always loved CrossFit because of the group workout scenario where you're commiserating, you're suffering together through a workout.
Yeah.
You have a shared experience of something that you overcame together. The people that you have there, and this is something I was telling Autumn, was just like, they're all good people. Like, one of the reasons why I left CrossFit is because it seemed like no matter where I went in CrossFit, there was a bunch of shitty humans. And I just don't want to, at my age, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, I just decided, I'm like, I'm not spending any more time around shitty humans.
Yeah.
If there's a moment in time where I think you're a shitty human, I'm out.
Yeah.
And so I want to be around good people. And that's the conversation I was having with Autumn, because she's kind of in a similar track to where I was 10 years ago, where she doesn't want to be around shitty humans. And I was like, you should come work out with us. It's a really good group of people.
Yeah.
And she's in the, she's a Marine.
Oh,
so like,
sweet.
Yeah, she ran was it last year? She ran a marathon. She didn't train for it. She just showed up one day and ran a marathon. Like, because the military people always just have that brain set, or that mindset where they just, I'm just going to go and do that. Might not be the best marathon, but so anyway, it's just a great group. I love it.
Well, and it's funny. It's Bill like would describe it as like people who build people up or tear people down, and I don't have the patience or that tolerance for that. And I find that, like, one of the big things about, like, you talk about groups and communities, like, we were fortunate when we first moved here. I had CrossFitted a little bit in New York City. And then we found a gym up here that was run by two young guys, smart, like savant-y kind of weird smart. The gym was a little bit dirty and grimy than we would have liked it to have been. But they were just, like, so good at form and making sure that you were doing things correctly so that you didn't hurt yourself. And I think CrossFit can get themselves into kind of like a trouble for being known for people getting injured there. And Noah and Jason definitely were not those kind of people. They wanted to make sure that their athletes were doing things the right
and
way.
I shouldn't, that, like, what I'm talking about is not all CrossFit. It was mainly the CrossFit box that I was at.
Yeah.
Just a lot of shitty humans.
Yeah. I mean, so for us, like, Bill really enjoyed that community. And I think that one of the things that stood out to him was, like, in a WOD, if it's not like if it's a WOD that it's for time, once the fastest person was done, they weren't totally done and like, peace out, I'm leaving. They were there and encouraged and supported other people that were there. And although, like, we work out in a group fitness community type style place now, and the coaches are very energetic and very enthusiastic, there isn't as much community in those workouts. So, like, you might talk to people a little bit before the workout starts. You might, talk to people at the end, but it's not the same kind of camaraderie. Another thing that I think that stands out in my head is when they do community social things, it's at a bar.
Right.
Which to me, it's like, okay, I get it, but can we not break that norm, break that stereotype that you have to go for food or you have to go to drink to be social? I think there's other things that people can do to be social that don't involve those two things. I mean,
we won't get into the details, but we're starting another one of those little groups next Thursday. I don't know if your husband told you.
Oh, yes. He put you on the calendar as Mr. Nelson. And I was like, Mr. Nelson? I was like, is that Craig the chiropractor Nelson? And then I looked further down and I saw it was you. But yeah, I mean, there are just so many other things, and that's kind of a savage-ish thing to do.
We got to come up with a name for it, but
we might need to do it a couple times before we give it its own tagline.
Yeah, we're not going to say it on the air, guys. It'll offend half of our listeners.
It's a secret.
It's a secret. That's right. Maybe we'll release it sometime.
It's got to be part of the secret society.
That's it. Look, we got to come up with a handshake.
Well, maybe I'll leave that. Bill's more creative than I am. I'm creative in the kitchen. That's where my cooking. That's where creativity comes out for me.
Just checking our time, make sure I'm not keeping you here all morning. No. So, all right, what else should we talk about Savage Sunday? And I really should. We're talking about all this extreme type 2 fun, and we should really just say to everyone that's listening to this that, like, the workout is scalable so that, I mean, I'm talking about feeling like I'm going to vomit at the end. That's a choice I make.
Right, totally.
Right? Like I could use a lighter weight. I could do something different that's going to make the workout not so challenging, but I can't even help myself. Like I actually, last year for the workout we're doing this weekend, I used the 40-pound dumbbells.
Yeah.
And they're really thin handles. And so it made those farmer's carries extra challenging. Because then the second time we did it, I used 35-pound weights with a much thicker handle, and the workout was almost easy, right? And it's only a 5-pound difference in the weight.
Yeah.
So it really had a lot to do with the grip. So for this weekend, I was trying to figure out what I was going to do, and I went and I bought 50-pound dumbbells, but with a thicker handle.
Oh, okay.
Because I think that's going to, we'll see.
So it's funny because Bill and I were talking. So the very first time we did it, I was well underweighted just based on
you did it
what we
unbroken.
had. Yeah, I carried the whole time. So I kind of felt like, all right. Second time, Bill and I bought some additional weight. I think I still only set the kettlebells down like 2 or 3 times. And I was using 24
I think that's what
pounds,
he said, yeah.
24 pounds. So I'm considering going up to the 35s this week. And Bill, that's what Bill used the last time, and he said he ran a lot. So I'm curious to see how I do at a higher weight. But at the same time, like I'm choosing to go higher because I want to experience that challenge.
Right.
That I'm making that choice. But for somebody else who's just starting off, come walk. Or like my girlfriend, she's like, I've got the baby, her kids, she's like, the kids would love to come and just walk around the track. Great. Bring your kids. I mean, one of the things that I loved about Regan bringing her kids and you bringing Bodhi is like, kids watch what their parents are doing.
Absolutely.
Kids watch what the adults are doing. They watch how you interact with people, how you talk to people, the behaviors that you have. And by having that little thing in the back of their minds, like, I remember when my parents used to do that. You're just setting the foundation for hopefully them making good choices down the line in terms of like living well. So Rebecca was she's like, maybe I can just bring the baby, but when it comes to running, like just scale it based on
walk fast, whatever you want to do.
Exactly. Like, so
throw that baby in that Bjorn on the front of you and
that's exactly it. Like you're carrying not only your weight, but the kettlebells, and then you're carrying a kid too. I mean,
well, and I should say too, if anybody needs kettlebells, I've got 10s, 20s, and 15s.
Okay.
So if anybody needs a set, I can bring, or I'll probably just bring them all just in case.
I'm gonna bring a couple that because I think somebody else is gonna bring me some heavier ones because I'd have to buy since Bill's using the 35, 36.
I think he said 35 or 40. He's not sure.
If he uses that we don't have additional, and I don't want to have us to have like a gym of like 4 of the same things.
Right.
It just doesn't make sense.
So you should probably tell people listening. This is going to come out after the workout, so it won't matter. But at least they know what we're talking about. What's the workout this weekend?
So the workout this weekend is a farmer's carry, and it was the very first workout that we did in 2024 for Savage Sunday. It was the workout that I sent to you and Steven and just kind of dipped the toe in the water. What do you guys think about doing this? And it is a 1 mile farmer's carry. However, and it's at RX, it's at 44 pounds in each hand. And the caveat is the goal is to walk a whole entire mile, which is 4 loops around the track, without setting the kettlebells down. If you set the kettlebells down, you have to run a 400 back to where you set the kettlebells down, pick them up, and continue to walk until you've completed a mile walking with the bells.
I ran 16 laps the first time we did this last
I'm
year.
afraid I might be in the same boat this weekend.
16 laps.
Yeah.
4 miles I ran that day.
But this is the thing too, because there's some kind of like science out there about grip strength and longevity. And that's the piece that I think I like is for those people that can get beyond the suck, is that like you're doing something to gain strength in an area that's a key indicator of longevity, which is your grip strength. So for me, it was kind of like, all right, well, and if you're training for high rocks, like
I know you guys are geeking out about. Tell us about high rocks. I barely know about high rocks.
Oh, so I'm just still in my beginning phases of it. So it's a race or a competition that has a variety of different stations, anywhere from running. So I think after each of the stations you have to run. And I think it's 16 1,600 meters, 1,000 meters. I'm not sure. I'm not totally schooled on all of it. You can do it individually. You can do it as a relay. You can do it as a couple or a partnered. And it includes running, ski erg, salt bike, rower, walking lunges, burpee, broad jumps.
Which are all nasty things.
Yeah, broad jumps. Oh, sled push, sled pull. I think those are all the stations. And so I started seeing people doing it last year, and then I saw that there was a gym here in Saratoga, or there's I think 1 or 2 gyms in Saratoga that are doing like high rocks style workouts to prepare people for competitions. But yeah, it's for me, having not done something of that nature, like an Ironman or a marathon, or I don't want to spend that same kind of time training for those events. And so for me, what High Rocks is kind of starting to like get in the back of my brain is like, you can incorporate your training that you do on a day-to-day basis into the same things you need to do to successfully complete one of these. I don't think I want to go out and do the whole entire thing initially by myself. I'm looking for a partner. I'd do it as a co-ed, or I'd do it as, like a same-sex female couple. So if you're interested, Bill has zero interest.
I was going to say, where's Bill in all this? He likes the workouts. I know he does.
I know he does, but he just is not. He's not that person. Like even when we first met, he always thinks it's a funny thing that like I was like, yeah, I want to hike Kilimanjaro, and he's like, Katie, why are you looking to hike Kilimanjaro? There's like 1,000 other peaks here in the high peak region. Go master climbing and hiking those. And I'm like, no, I want to hire a guide that's going to take me. He's like, and he does not understand that mentality of hiring a guide to help you complete something when you have a mountain right here that you can go do by yourself. And for me, it's about the idea of seeing a different part of the world while doing something.
Some really hard shit.
Right.
That not many people do.
No, but Bill is a person of mastery. So he doesn't want to rely on anybody else to do anything for him.
He's a fascinating human.
Oh, he's special, but I love him for it. I do. He's just wired. He's Bill.
Yeah.
So the farmer's carry is this weekend. And I tried to make the first 2 to be something that wasn't, I kind of fault of my own is trying to cater to other people, but I don't want like Annie's just now getting back into things from having been ill, and I just don't want to scare people away or crush people. I want it to be something that I think can be scalable and easy enough to do.
And not the toughest mile workout.
No, but so that's the funny thing about the toughest mile is it will be coming back. And the funny thing is last year, like I picked random things. This year I have a schedule that I built out, and I've picked a couple different like workouts that I've been moving around in my Excel spreadsheet to see like what makes sense. But some of the stuff incorporate the burpee box jumps, the walking lunges, bear crawl type style things in shorter duration to help prepare us for the date that we do the toughest mile.
I have to say that like one of the things why I keep asking you guys about when you're doing workouts and where I'm stuck in my own paradigm right now because I'm basically working out here and my intensity is not where it should be on these workouts. And because I changed a lot of things about how I'm training because of longevity and not wanting to injure myself anymore. But one of the things I really like about Savage Sundays, it's forcing me to do things that I wouldn't do. So like practicing doing lunges around the oval.
Yeah.
And bear crawls and all these things that we are doing in these different workouts. And to be fair, if I didn't know that there was going to be burpees in these workouts, I probably wouldn't be doing burpees at home. So it's forcing me to do things as I'm working out from home that I need to know so that I don't just completely die and fall apart during Savage Sundays. So.
Well, and I keep saying to myself, Katie, you really probably need to get out and do some of these workouts, especially when I see something and I'm like, I don't think that's going to be long enough. So I want to add something in. I probably need to be doing these before we actually do them. But then, it's that same sort of like.
It sounds like we need a second day
The test workout day. I've thought about that.
That would be fun.
I've thought about that. But it's like one of those things, like I saw a girlfriend yesterday and she's like, her husband was like, you're not cleaning the house before Katie comes over. And she's like, no, I'm not. And I was like, please. Like, there's so many things that will stop us from actually taking action and doing something because of these things that you think need to be done. And so it's the same thing with the workouts. Like, I don't want to not do a workout because I haven't tested it first. Maybe a true trainer would actually do the workouts before they have other people do them.
I guess.
But that's kind of the fun thing is it's like, who knows? Like for some people, and that's also a really interesting thing about Savage Sunday is depending on what the workout is, somebody might be you look at them and you think, wow, like they're in phenomenal shape. Mm-hmm. But the workout might challenge them in a way that it had never, like they've never been challenged, you know? So one of the girls that comes, Abby, she's a fantastic athlete. She's a fast runner. She's super strong, but that farmer's carry, she's like, I had no grip strength in my left hand. She's like, I didn't have any. Yeah. She hated the workout. She's not coming this week.
She's not coming this week. Come on, Abby.
I know. I don't think it's because I think she's got one of her sons is kind of like, Mom, I want to spring ski. I want to spring ski. And we haven't really gotten any great weather.
Is that the kid that started running barefoot when he saw me take off my shoes?
Different family.
That was hilarious.
Oh, that's Rob's was it different? Yeah, different family. Rob, I don't know if Rob and Ann are going to be there or not, but Dylan, his oldest, he's something else.
That was
From
funny.
a little kid, that kid has been like a spider monkey. Like he'd crawl around their house, around the door frame, like as a kid, climb up it, climb around it. I'm like, oh my gosh. But he has high athletic aptitude.
Yeah. At one point he ran by me and he's like, is it okay if I run this fast? I was like, buddy, you run any way you want. And then like 2 laps later, he comes running by me with no shoes on. I was just laughing.
Oh no, you totally, you inspired him. And then Ann, the funniest piece for me, Mike, was when Ann saw him doing it. And she goes, the next thing you know, he's going to show up with a sleeve of tattoos. And I was like, oh my Lord.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kids are cute.
Well, and for Bodhi. So this weekend, Bodhi needs to show up with a whistle or a cowbell.
Okay. I'll
Do you
see
have
what
one
I
of
can
those?
come up with.
If not, I'm gonna bring them for him.
I don't know if I have either one of those.
No?
Because I have Bodhi.
I might
it would be nonstop cowbell and whistles.
It'd be appropriate place for him though to have it, especially since he was yelling at us the last time.
Oh my God, he was so funny.
Oh.
All right, so I know we're running out of time here, but if people want to learn more about you, more about Savage Sunday, where can they go?
Ooh, the best place right now is my Instagram. So my Instagram is Katie, Katie Tanz. Tanz is the nickname that I inherited by marriage. Bill and John Tanz came up when they were motorcycle racing. So anyway, I'm Katie Tanz on Instagram. And more about me and nutrition coaching is katietansey.com. And that's TANSEY.com. But yeah, I post everything as far as Savage Sunday is concerned on my Instagram page. So show up there. And then there's also what do they call it? A broadcast channel that I try to put stuff on too. But I don't know. I think in my Instagram feed is probably the best place to go for everything.
Yeah. And then you tag all of us.
I do my best. Holy cow. Like I go back and I'm like, how many people do I tag? And then Instagram's like, you can only tag this many people. I'm like, well, I'm just trying to tag the people that were either there last time or have expressed some interest, because I don't ever want to not have people think that I'm not including. I'm very inclusive. So bring friends, invite friends. The best thing was when I was working out with Steven earlier this week or last week, Dave Munyon, one of the other coaches that coaches at Battleground said, he's like, I was with training somebody at the Y and they were like, hey, do you know about this thing called Savage Sunday? And I was
amazing.
Like, yes. I was like, that's exactly what I want. I really want this to be, I don't know.
Something.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want people that you don't know, that you've never met, that are talking about it. Like, then you're doing things right.
To come out. Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Awesome.
Thanks for coming out to the farm.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Always great to see you.
Yeah.
Missed you, Bill, but I'll see you soon. I love your husband.
Oh, he was jealous, I think, that he wasn't invited.
He could have come. It's fine.
No, I'd have to arm wrestle him for airtime.
That's true. He'd be jumping in there. Yeah. I'll tell you, I can't even. I won't share the whole story, but one of my favorite moments with your husband was when we were at a networking group, and someone who was in his industry was like giving a presentation, and they made the mistake of like asking Bill a question, He got right up, basically hijacked their whole presentation. It was one of the best things I've ever seen in my life. He got up and basically gave his own presentation. It was amazing.
He is pretty amazing. I know it's really weird. Yes, he is my husband, but at what he does professionally, I've never seen anybody do it better than him.
Yeah, smart guy.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll go.
Awesome.
Thanks so much for coming out. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Of course, you can find us at buyinglocal.us. You can find us on all these social media channels. The audio podcast is on Spotify and Apple, and video on YouTube and Rumble. I have no idea what those are, but I'm sure that Taylor, our amazing producer, will put those links somewhere in the show notes. So thanks, everybody, for listening, and you'll hear from us next week.